Hello witches and warlocks, and welcome back to my channel. Nice to see you again. So we are now on our next tutorial for our Book of Shadows. Now the last time I left you, we had put our leather onto our spine of our book, and that's where we left it off. And we've also covered our two ends. So we had our back and our front board, and we covered those, and I showed you how to fold over the excess to make it nice and neat and tidy, and then we put on our binding leather over the top. So we were left with the leather and everything all neat and tidy. So we're going to go into the next step. Now I'm going to show you exactly what you're going to need for the next step. So the next step will involve, of course, our trusty super glue. Now I did say you are going to need quite a bit of this, and to be honest with you, I've gone through, let's think, about 5 tubes of this so far. I think it is, so yeah, about 5 tubes, maybe more. And I just went out and bought another 3 tubes today. So I've used quite a lot. So I would suggest, if you are going to do this, then make sure you got enough super glue, because I've been out, because they only give you a little bit in these tubes, and it doesn't go a very long way in these little tubes. They are cheap, they're £1 each, but again, you are going to need a lot of them. It may be worth going for some bigger tubes, paying a little bit extra money, and having a big tub of super glue. Totally up to you how you want to do it, but you are going to need some more super glue for this next section. Now one of these sections I have done already, not on camera, so I will show you how to do that. Okay, so what else you will need is a ruler, trusty ruler we've used. You're going to need a pen, because we do need a pen for this next step. You are going to need some pleather, and also a piece of card. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you about this in just a second. So that is, oh, and also, almost missed this, you're going to need your ribbons from my first video. So I will talk you through that as well. So let's point you down so you can see what I'm doing down here, and I will show you the next step on our Book of Shadows tutorial. Okay, let's try and do this without dropping the camera. Here we go. Right. I think that's pretty much it. Let's go back just a tad, and I think we should be okay. Okay, here we go. Right, so we are all good. So this is where we left off last time. We put this on the binding. That's now all stuck and nice. Okay, so we are now going to do our next bit of work on the other side. Okay, now as you can notice, this looks a bit tatty now, and the reason it does is because I cut along these edges, because I've now binded it, so it's not going to go anywhere, but I also want my book to be able to shut nice like that and be nice and flimsy, and it wasn't, and it might not be with yours as well. It will probably be nice and stiff, to be honest with you, and stuck, and it won't close properly or won't open properly. It'll be nice and stiff, which is a good thing, but just go down. I did it with scissors, so that's why it looks awful, but like I said before, it doesn't matter if it looks awful, because we are going to cover this, okay? So it's not going to be seen at all, so don't worry about that. If it looks awful, it is going to look awful for a little bit, okay? So if you want to, you can stretch out this as well, because we want this to be, because this will curl up. I'm warning you, because obviously once we put the leather on and also put the string on, that's going to tighten it up because it's all glued. So you can flatten this down. It's not going to be a problem. All this is now glued in place. So should yours be, because it's been a couple of days since I did this. I've actually, before filming this video, I've been actually away in London. So it's been a good couple of days before I've actually got to this stage. I've left it and it's all glued and nice, and it's not going anywhere. So the next step, what you're going to do is, I would suggest, is this little step now. So the card that I mentioned before, Okay, this card come from a cereal box. Okay, so an old cereal box, doesn't have to be cereal box, it can be an old pizza box, it can be anything that you get, but don't go out and buy any cards, just use something that you already have. It can be anything, you know, that you can find in your cupboards. I use an old cereal box, and it's perfect. Okay, so you will need to do that. Now, how to do, what you need from the cereal box are strips. Now, this is a little strip that I've made, okay, just like this. Now, what I did is I cut out from the cereal box. I took my ruler, and on here I did 2 centimeter. Okay, so 2 centimeters of card is all you need. Okay, and I did 2 of those, and then I glued them together to make it a bit thicker. Okay, so once you get 2 strips, you know, glue them together, and then we're going to stick them together to make it a little bit stronger. And then what I did was made this. Now, these are going to be my binding. Okay, these are going to be my binding. So what I did, as you can tell on here, I sectioned it out. So I measured it with my ruler, got the measurement, divided it by 4. Okay, you can do that on a calculator, or if you're smart, you can do it in your head. I use a calculator. So then it gave me 4 sections. And then what I didn't tell you about, and I always miss something out in the what you need section, is a hole punch. Now, I only have a 2 hole punch. Okay, these are pretty cheap. You can buy them in the pound shop. I've seen them all over the place. I got this yonks and yonks and yonks ago. And yeah, so a little bit of a hole punch. Now, this is only 2, but you can buy 4 if you want to. Now, I've done 4 holes on mine. You can use, if you want to, you can get these little folder sheets, and they come with 4 hole punch things already, and you can use that to guide yourself to do it. But what I did is I took my ruler, measured it, find the halfway mark on the strip. Once I found my halfway mark, I then punctured 2 holes either side. So I started off with the middle, just put it in my hole punch, lined it up like so, and then punctured the 2 holes. And then what I did is I went along and just used one of the holes to punch that hole, and in the middle took one of the holes and punched that hole. Okay, so you have got 4 holes, perfect line there. It's totally up to you how you want to do it. I did it that way. You don't have to do it that way. However you want to find, but you want 4 equal holes along of your 2 pieces of card that are glued together, by the way. So the 2 strips, I basically got some super glue, ran it down inside, and then stuck them two pieces together. It just makes it a little bit more sturdy. And then you'll end up with 2. Now, once you've done 1, if you found your measurements, you can put these together. Okay, like so. Lay one on top of the other. It's up to you how you want to do it. Just make sure they're leveled out. And what you want to do is put your pen in the holes, but make sure you keep it nice and neat, nice and quick, and it gives you the perfect little template. Okay, now I'm going to do those. I'll mark them off. Now try and be as close as you can on here. It's a bit difficult to see because I'm doing this off screen. Once I line them up, and then you punch a hole. Again, try and line it up as much as you can. Take the hole down there. The end ones are usually a little bit easier. Okay, so you should line up. Which they do, which is perfect. Okay, so once you've got your holes lined up, like so, you can put them to one side. We are going to need them a little bit later. Okay, so the next thing you're going to need is your piece of pleather. Okay, so your pleather, just like this. Okay, now how I've marked this off is just like this. Now, what I did is I got an A4 piece of paper and I measured it out on here. Okay, so this is an A4, and then I left myself some excess, as always, because you want, I put 4 centimeters on either side. Now that's obviously lengthways down, so that's your top, your A4, and your bottom, and then I've left 4 centimeters either side, so that's 8 centimeters extra altogether. Okay, the reason I've done that is because when you put it in, okay, it's gonna go over like so, and then you need to leave enough for it to fold over. Okay, so we're gonna go into that, but I would suggest if you're doing an A4, make sure it's wider than an A4 by 4 inches either side, so 8 inches in total. Okay, so there's your A4 to cover. All right, so next thing you're going to do is going to take your super glue. Okay, you're going to use quite a little bit of this to super glue, and what we're going to do is we're going to go down the middle and we're going to glue all the way using all super glue. Make sure you get loads on there. Okay, inside, just like we did with the PVA when we first started. Okay, nice, and make sure you really cover this with glue. Make sure you got all the sides. Okay, get everything covered again. So we'll take the entire tube of glue. Okay, so that's what I've done there. And what you're going to do is just like before, we're going to fold it in half, match up the sides, just like that, as much as you can. Okay, this might not be exactly level, but you want to then place it one end like so, so that it's even to both sides. Okay, so I'm going to stick that in there inside your tube. Again, it doesn't matter if the glue comes out the end, because again, this is all going to be covered and all going to be glued anyway. Okay, so that took a whole tiny tube. I mean, there are tiny tubes of glue. Okay, so then that is glued inside. Make sure you run your fingers all the way along. Okay, really get that in there. Try not to get the glue on your fingers, as like I say. Again, don't matter, just like I have, I get it on me every time. But it comes off after a while through, if you pick it. Again, a little trick for super glue as well. If you've got a sister, or if you've got a mum who uses a nail file, use the nail file to scrub it. It's like a little sandpaper board, a little nail board, and that will take off the glue off your finger. Perfect. Or you can just wait for it to come off if you want, which I do. It eventually comes off with wear and tear. Right, so that's now in there. Okay, so that's glued nice and solid inside. Okay, so that's that done. The next thing next step we're going to do is we are going to do our ribbons. So the reason I'm doing my ribbons now is because I want it to be inside. Now, I couldn't find a blue one that was the same size as all the rest, so I pretty much just found what I could. Okay, so these are my colours, and if you go back to my very first video, you'll see the reason I chose these colours is because they represent the elements for me. Okay, so if you remember my last video, I said to keep these flaps at the ends. Don't touch them until the last minute, and this is the reason why. Okay, because we're going to start off with our gluing. So I'm going to take some more super glue, and this is the top of your book. So here is the top of the book, And what we're going to do is we're going to take our super glue and we're going to start with our gluing. So you want to do a little bit of glue at the top here. Doesn't matter if it runs down because we're going to use this anyway. Okay, just like this, run it along. Nice little bit of super glue. Put the lid back on. And then what we're going to do is going to carefully place our ribbon at the top. Now, you can do this by using the top of the glue. Be careful because you don't want to get it on your fingers, but we do want it to stick. Okay. Take your next one. Again, this is going to be really tricky. Okay. It will stick, I promise you, because it is strong stuff. Again, how you want to put this in is totally up to you. I'm sticking this in. For those out there who are witches, you're probably sitting there thinking, ooh, I know what he's doing. Some of you might be sitting there thinking, wondering what I'm doing. But for those out there who are new to the craft, you will notice that I am doing this in order of the elements. So go. Not wanting to stick now. Again, it doesn't matter so much about this end because there we go. That's all stuck inside now. Okay, so give that a second. Okay, so give that a second to dry. It won't take long, I promise you. It will be done in seconds. And it pretty much is. It doesn't matter so much though, because we are going to cover that top end anyway. Okay, so for those out there who didn't see me originally take these over, what I did on this end is I snipped down, so you can't see, but I snipped down so we just left this cover, okay, just down here. So you've only got the one section that's in here, it slides in there nicely. So I cut it away from this end because this was one long piece, if you remember rightly from the last video, and now it's not. So we're going to go back to our glue and we're going to stick this down. Okay, so good job you can see me because I'm probably not explaining myself very well. Okay, so we want to use that glue, go over them, go over it again. That's it, really get that glue on there. Again, it doesn't matter how much you use because the more the better, I think. Doesn't give you long, so be quick as you can. And then, oh, again, be careful of getting it on your fingers. Okay, so I'm going to put that down. I'm going to squeeze that in like so. Hold it there as long as you can. Again, this isn't the end of the world if it goes everywhere, because it will squidge out the bottom, I promise you. It's going to happen. Okay, but it doesn't matter because as long as you've got that end over. Okay, so that's pretty much glued. I mean, I probably will have to go over that a little bit more with a little bit more glue under it, but it's not the end of the world because it's now stuck in as much as I can. So the end is now flapped over. Can you tell? Can you see from that angle? So yeah, so that's pretty much in there now, and what you can do is you can put these ribbons out the way like so. So now it's all neat and tidy on that end of your book. See, and that's the reason I said to leave this flap, because if you'd have folded these flaps over from the beginning, like these little flaps on the end, if you'd have done that late, as in first, folded it all over when you did these, the edges, when you come to put this in, you'd had a white line that would have been at the bottom of your book and at the top of your book. And, you know, some people don't mind that so much, but sometimes it can be annoying for some people. For me, it is. I don't like it, because you're going to have a white line from the end of the pleather. This way, it's tucked underneath and it looks as if it's all one. So you can see, you're not going to notice at all once it's all stuck. I mean, you are technically going to get a little bit of lineage going on that side. You could, if you wanted to, do this bit first and leave the top and the bottom ends, and then fold this underneath if you really wanted. I didn't, but it's this mainly I was thinking about, because you're not going to notice this so much. I mean, it's up to you. Okay, it's just, I left it like that because I just like these to be a bit more neater on the binding. Not so worried, because we're going to have a piece of paper on each side of this anyway. So anyway, I'm rattling on. That's your ribbon inside, and then you are stuck inside here as well. Again, don't worry so much, because you're not going to see any of this, because you're going to have your bindings going across, so you're not going to notice it once your paper's in. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is we're going to use our little cards. Okay, so we've got our cards in here. Okay, just like this. And we're all lined up. Okay, and then all you're going to do is you're going to place it at the end of your board, just like this, and that's going to go to make your binding like this. Okay, so just like that. All right, so the next time we do our next section, you want to make these like I've done, and then we're going to add it into our book. Okay, and then I'll show you how to do that. But that is your middle section of your binding so far. So that's our tutorial. We've got, I do believe, about one more tutorial, I think, so we should be able to do that next time for you. So what we're doing is we're going to put our bindings in, and then our end pages, and then your Book of Shadows is officially done. So that's the next step. That's your ribbons are in, your start of your binding. It's going to start looking a lot more neater now, which is lovely, and it's going to be nice and sturdy because we've bound it both sides. And then we're going to put our binding cards, which we're going to make into your book next video. So do look out for that one. Thank you very much for watching my tutorial on Book of Shadows. I do hope you've enjoyed it so far. We are almost there, and again, like I said, with this you need to be very patient. It is your book, and like I am, I'm taking my time, putting all my love and, you know, and my emphasis on my book, and it's going to be part of me and my work, and also my craft. It's going to be my work in Book of Shadows as well. So I am going to be using this. This is not going to be a book that is going to be nice and pretty looking on the shelf. Oh, we can have a look at it and have a little flick through. This will be my work in Book of Shadows. So it's going to be a little bit thrown together. It's not going to be something that I particularly want to be a showpiece. It will look hopefully nice and lovely, and this is what I'm planning to do, to make it look nice, because obviously I want it to look nice, but it is a working Book of Shadows, so don't be scared to use it. Use your book, okay? Do not have it to say, oh, it's so nice, and it will take you 2-3 weeks to do one page because you want it to look so perfect. You know, if you want a book like that, go ahead, do it, it's fine. You know, some people do, some people don't. Personally, for me, it's going to be part of my craft, so I'm going to use it. So yeah, so look out for it. Hopefully, our next tutorial will be our last tutorial, and your Book of Shadows will be perfectly put together. And then after that, once I've done my Book of Shadows and we've all got a Book of Shadows made, I will do a video on a little flip through. If I put my teeth back in. Flip through of my Book of Shadows once it's all together and my pages are in. It's going to be pretty blank. It will be, I warn you now, when you see my Book of Shadows, it's going to be blank because I'm going to use it step by step on my path. So it will be filled as I learn different things and do different spells and do different rituals. It's going to build up with the stuff that I do. Okay, so it's not going to be an amazing, full, packed Book of Shadows the moment you see it. Okay, it's just going to be the start, but hopefully it's going to be amazing. Now, I've gone on for about 26 minutes, and I don't want this video to be amazingly long. So that's your next step. Get on with that one. Make sure that you make your cards for the next video, and we will put our Book of Shadows together and finally finish. So from me, Mikey, have a great day. Thank you for watching my video, and remember, you be you and blessed be.